أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. At the end of our discussion on the line وَالْمُخْلَصِينَ فِي تَوْحِيدِ اللَّهِ, we gave a few points of reflection on the famous tasbihat arba'a, subhanallahi walhamdulillahi wa la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar, as written by Ayatollah Zia Abadi. Now, in this session, we're going to finish that small part off and give a few more of his teachings, inshallah. So yes, we have many adhkaar, zikrs. And these zikrs, when you recite them often and you internalize them, you think about them, you ponder upon them, you reflect upon them, they really help to strengthen our tawheed. So staying with the writings of Marhum Zia Abadi, he makes a very interesting point that amongst all the various adhkaar, all the various zikrs, it seems that the dhikr of Subhanallah has a very special position. For example, when you say Subhanallah, that is technically called Tasbh. When you say Alhamdulillah, that is technically called Tahmid. When you say La ilaha illallah, the technical name is Tahlil. And when you say Allahu Akbar, the technical name is Takbir. So in Tasbihat Arba'a, we are saying these four things, but it is called Tasbihat Arba'a. It's not called Tahmidat Arba'a, Tahlilat Arba'a, Takbirat Arba'a. No, it's called Tasbihat. So this shows the unique position of Subhanallah. The Tasbih one has precedence. Similarly, in the Tasbih of Hazrat Fatima salamullahi alayha, we say three things. We say Allahu Akbar, Alhamdulillah, and Subhanallah. Yet it is known as Tasbih of Bibi Fatima. So why is this? This is because, according to him, those other adhkaar, those other zikrs, are really actually under the umbrella of Subhanallah. And this can be seen also in the Holy Quran. As this phrase is mentioned, the Subhanallah in different ways is mentioned at the beginning and end of many surahs. And also it is the dhikr of ruku and sajda. For example, in the Quran we have سبح اسم ربك الأعلى يسبح لله ما في السماوات والأرض فسبح باسم ربك العظيم, and many other instances. So it seems Subhanallah has a very special position amongst all of the different zikrs. All of this is telling us what? This frequent mention of Subhanallah, the naming of different adhkar under the umbrella of Subhanallah, the Quran using Subhanallah so many times. All of this is telling us, be very careful and make sure whatever notions you say about Allah, whatever ideas you have about God, make sure you clear Allah from all manner of limitation and shortcoming. If something goes wrong in your life, you should not blame Allah. You should not say things like, I was not deserving of this calamity, but still Allah sent it to me. I don't know what I've done wrong, but still Allah is punishing me. No, these are offensive to God. So he says, be very careful to always remove Allah from any kind of idea of shortcoming or limitation. Instead, if something does go wrong, we should always still declare Subhanallah, and this will help to improve our tawheed. He then goes on to say that this attitude of a person to constantly remember God, say Subhanallah, clear him from all imperfections and limitations, the more a person does this, the more their level of tawheed in their life will improve, and the more they will make their actions also completely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They will begin to see the divine link in everything they do, and even their mubah actions will become a worship, because in everything they do they will find the godly angle, the Allahi angle. And he says then that actually for a true mu'min, it is a shame to even perform mubah acts. Many people will say, well, they're not haram and makruh, so what's wrong? No. He says, actually, this is actually a loss. You are not gaining anything. So it is a loss in a real sense from that perspective. For example, you're at work. You have 8 hours, let's say, at your work. You want to be successful in making money and being efficient in every hour. Let's say you say, okay, 2 hours, I was not making any money today. So that's a loss. You would actually go home and you would think, I made a loss today because in those 2 hours, I failed to do something which would bring in sustenance. So in this life, also, when we do things which are not beneficial, they're not wajib or mustahab, then really it's like a loss. But the person who makes Allah the forefront in their life will definitely use this notion to make all of their acts as godly acts. There will be no mubah, let alone makruh and haram, na'udhu billah. If a person has this level of sincerity and tawheed, then something very special will happen. And that is in the words of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, "Man akhlasa lillah," someone who is able to remain very sincere for God. In other words, they do things for Allah throughout the day. They do many good acts. They stay away from sin. They have a degree of sincerity because their tawheed is high. So their sincerity also becomes high. Man akhlasa lillahi arba'ina yawman. Whoever maintains a degree of sincerity for Allah for 40 days without any gap, for 40 continuous days, فَجَّرَ اللَّهُ يَنَابِيعَ الْحِكْمَةِ مِنْ قَلْبِهِ عَلَى لِسَانِهِ. Allah will cause to open the springs of wisdom from that person's heart upon their tongue. In other words, that person will now be very, very blessed and very, very wise, and their words will also have a great impact. Of course, the best example of this is Imam Hussein alayhi salam, who even when he was giving his life for Allah, he said, رِضًا بِقَضَائِهِ وَتَسْلِيمًا لِأَمْرِهِ, that I'm doing this completely for the pleasure of Allah and in submission to Him. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.